Welcome to the Kind Mama Club. Here you'll find strategies and activities for your little one, hit those developmental milestones, as well as sharing my experiences as a first-time mom. I'm Gumi, a pediatric occupational therapist with the passion of making the world a more kind, inclusive, and supportive place. Here on this channel, you'll find practical OT strategies, mama hacks, and encouragement so you can feel confident, supported, and never alone. If this sounds like the club for you, please subscribe. And today I'll be talking about my birth plan. So I have this birth plan that I created, and if you want the template, there's a link below that you could grab the template. It just has kind of the basics of my name, my husband's name, baby's due date, and the preferred delivery method. And for my first birth, or this birth, I wanted to go as naturally as possible, but still get an epidural. So I didn't want an induction. I wanted the least amount of interventions possible besides getting an epidural. So I know that my pain tolerance is very low. My threshold is pretty low. So I was very open about getting the epidural. There's a drug called Pitocin that kind of helps the labor process, and I've heard good things and bad things. So my way of thinking is I wanted to prevent getting more interventions, and from all the birth classes and birth stories and all these other things I've been hearing, once you kind of get one intervention, it's a little more easier to get more interventions. So I was okay with an epidural, but I didn't want Pitocin to kind of help the labor process. Okay, that's all I wanted. So epidural is okay, but that didn't happen. But I'll kind of go into that later. So my birth plan is just kind of shows like what you want during labor, like how you want the room. I wanted as few vaginal exams as possible. Medically, what you want, you can write that as well. What you want for pain relief, I put that as well. And then this is kind of during labor, so when you're dilating and things like that. And then here is during delivery and after delivery. So for during the labor, I want as few vaginal exams as possible, that to always be present, and kind of just like a chill environment. And for medically, I just put if there was a case where they had to induce me, I just put please don't induce me unless baby is truly in distress. And then I also put don't rupture or sweep my membrane, or use Pitocin for labor to progress faster. And for pain relief, I just put goal is unmedicated for as long as possible, and we'll ask for epidural when needed. During delivery, so everybody is kind of, or most of the births and what you kind of see in the movies and TV shows, you're on your back and your legs are kind of in the stirrups. I just wanted as much freedom of movement as possible. And I put no vacuum, so I know sometimes they'll use a vacuum to kind of help suction out the baby, or forceps. I don't know if they use forceps now or it's more vacuum. I just put no vacuum, no forceps, and no episiotomy. So episiotomy is when they use like a scissors. So if this is your opening, they'll use like a scissors to cut a little bit, so it'll help kind of open up your genital area for the baby to come through. But I didn't want an episiotomy just because it's natural, right? I want to go as natural as possible. So I saw somewhere that it's kind of like when you tear a piece of paper, they'll cut it, and then if it rips, the paper will go more than it's just kind of ripping. And like the what is that, the recovery process, I just want to go as naturally as possible. But whatever you want, choose. This is just my birth plan. Let's see. Oh, and then what you want after delivery. So I wanted no cord clamping until the cord's white and it stops pulsating. Immediate skin to skin, and which is like the golden hour that you'll get. I didn't know if I wanted a bath for the baby. I just put delayed bath for baby, not possible. But it turns out they don't even bath babies, or for my hospital they didn't. And then I also put if you want like the vitamin K shot, the erythromycin ointment for the eyes, and the Hep B vaccine. So that is up to you if you want to get those or not. And then I also have an emergency section just in case it turns to cesarean birth. And then if the baby has to go to NICU, I kind of wrote what I would like. But this was my birth plan, and in the beginning when I found out I'm pregnant, I wanted to go as naturally as possible. I even thought about like home births, but my husband was kind of against that, just in case purposes, emergency purposes. And then I looked into midwife and OBs. So midwife is more of like a holistic approach, where OBs are more medical approach. And there was a midwifery practice, but it was kind of far, like 30-40 minutes without traffic, and so an hour plus with traffic. And I'm thinking I would have to go there by myself, well, in the beginning, because my husband was in like busy season, and or like if my husband couldn't come, I would have to drive there by myself, and I don't really like driving. So I chose the OB that was a little bit closer and it had like really good reviews. Just kind of did all the research on which hospitals are the best, which midwifery practice are the best. But I chose the OB that was a little bit like way closer actually. And I chose it due to kind of also like at birth or during birth, or kind of when like you have to go to the hospital for birth, the time, right? So 15-20 minutes versus 30 minutes or an hour plus. I don't know. I just wanted whatever's closer is the best for me, but please choose what's best for you, or like what you would like. So I chose the OB that was closer to me, and that's kind of what my birth plan was. And if you want to know what actually happened, check out my birth story video and let me know if you have any comments or questions. Thanks for watching. Okay, bye.